Jaden Rashada. See, now that's a name I have not heard in a long time. A player I once covered a couple months back about his downward spiral of a journey dropped right back to my attention after somebody mentioned his name the other day. Then it hit me like, oh yeah, I do remember that guy. I wonder how he's doing. To my surprise, absolutely jack shit. You think, like the saying goes, when you hit rock bottom, the only way to go now is up. No, not even the rock bottom of all college programs wanted him. And at that point, you really have to ask yourself, damn, am I actually that ass? I mean, most people expected him to get his shot finally this year to prove the hype was in fact real. But instead, he bricked the ever-living life out of it, and now it seems once again he's failed at another program. And not just any, but an FCS school. That's embarrassing. How one could go from the top with offers from powerhouse school to powerhouse school to warming the bench at an FCS school because he couldn't even hang with their talent. Truly, his story is one to remember. Not because it had a good ending or a rise to the top, but for the chaotic mess it really was, and for someone who would never even played a snap. He sure got attention like he took plenty. So in this video, I'm going to recap Jaden Rashada's story from a 4-star dual threat with a bright future and lots of potential to a bench warmer who's pretty much destroyed his chances of ever touching the league or starting anywhere else. But before we do get into the video, all I do ask is if you are new here, please subscribe. It does help my channel and does push my name out there more. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get into the failure that is Jaden Rashada. So before we get into this mess that is its transfer history, because damn is it a long one, we gotta go all the way back to the start in Brentwood, California, where he attended Liberty High School playing for the Liberty Lions, where he wouldn't see much field action, only having 22 pass attempts for the entire season, where he threw for 129 yards with 3 touchdowns to a pick. Where after his freshman year, he transferred out of Liberty to attend IMG Academy in Florida, spending the summer there and moving back to California before the start of his sophomore season, now attending Pittsburgh High School, where he played for the Pirates. As you can already notice, the guy sure as hell can't make up his damn mind when it comes to staying put and just playing, so definitely not a large foreshadow for the future. Anyways, he'd have a year similar to his first, not seeing the field much, only with 56 pass attempts where he threw for 412 yards with an 8-5 touchdown interception ratio. Now we turn to 2021, where he finally get the starting job, putting his name across the map in no time, passing for more than 2,200 passing yards on 146 completions with 256 attempts and a 27-5 touchdown interception ratio, finishing as one of ESPN's top-rated dual threats for the future 23 class. So of course, the offers did not take long until they started flying in. Places like Fresno State, Purdue, Washington, Georgia Tech, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida, remember this one because it'll be important later, Arizona, Penn State, Washington State, Auburn, Colorado, UCLA, Oregon, you name it, they probably offered him it. Lots of doors are opening up and the lights were bright, with Rashada also being one of the first few high school athletes to sign an endorsement deal in the NIL era. So yeah, safe to say he was a big deal back in 21. And with another season just like his junior year, plenty of more teams were sure to want him on their campus. So now we get to 2022, where he wouldn't just play like how he did his junior season, he would exceed expectations by a large margin, throwing for 3,000 passing yards on 211 completions with 338 attempts with a 32-13 touchdown interception ratio. Not to also mention rushing for 419 yards with 4 rushing touchdowns, where even more offers will start flooding in as he be ranked the 6th best quarterback of the 23 class, behind names like Arch Manning, Dante Moore, Nico Ima Trader, Jackson Arnold, Malachi Nelson, while also being listed above names like Avery Johnson, Lenore Sellers, Aiden Childs, Marcel Reed, and Sam Levitt, getting offers now from places like LSU, Stanford, Miami, Oklahoma, University of Houston, Texas A&M, BYU, and Kansas. So this is where the timeline will officially begin for the 4-star dual threat. After multiple visits between March and April of 2022 to places like A&M, Ole Miss, Florida, Miami, he finally make a decision, and this is officially where shit goes off the railing. In June of 2022, as I just mentioned, he went to Miami to visit, where it seemed he finally commit and settle his ass down after rumors of an NIL deal up to $9 million. But nope, that really was not it. So what we thought would be him taking over next year for a very unstacked depth chart that was Van Dyke and a bunch of other guys down lower, we all thought, okay, he's gonna come in and he's gonna get to start as soon as arrival. Nope. Come November, he would flip his enrollment to Florida for an alleged $13 million NIL deal, which still saying that out loud is just absolutely absurd. Because you gotta remember, no quarterback in in the country was being paid that much to play. So yeah, if you're Rashada, it's like a no-brainer. Same said for his father, who was his agent at the time. Guy's a real moron, by the way. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world, especially now knowing that they were even going to promise him to receive $1 million for a partial payment. So of course, with all that being said, the money sounded great and the letter was signed. And if the deal was anywhere near that amount, they really just finessed the game, with the deal basically being he had to reside in Florida, obviously, had to sign a few autographs a year, promote some brands with some posts on social media. You know, I don't even understand NIL deals. But he just had to do all this and he would get a fuck ton of money on top of playing football for a big program. So by doing this, he turned away the Hurricanes' offer and the hefty sum of money they were willing to throw his way for a recruitment for this instead. So in Jaden's eyes, it could not get much better than this. That is until, however, come to find out in January, he wouldn't even get the money after all. Because plot twist, it never existed. Hey Jaden, we'll give you $13 million we don't have if you come play for us. They basically wrote a check their asses couldn't cash. I can't necessarily blame Rashada here, but at the same time, it's still one of his worst moves. The contract that lured him away from Miami completely would fuck him over in the end. That's why I said Miami's just gonna be the bane of his existence, being if not one of his largest regrets to this day. Like looking back at it now, did they dodge a bullet? Yes. But at the moment, who knows what he could have been? It's just the thought of leaving a program that gave you a real offer for a program that didn't give you a fucking cent. I mean, he flipped a guaranteed deal for a deal that screamed failure from just reading it out loud. I mean, come on, $13 million for a player who's never played a snap in college. You could have read the room and said something fell off. It wasn't a scam, but it wasn't organized well enough to stay intact, which is why it fell apart. So between him decommitting and missing spring reps hurting his development time, the start to his college career was chaotic, especially knowing he'd have to do it all once again. Where in January of 2023, as I just mentioned, he would then decommit from Florida despite signing a letter of intent in December and would visit TCU but was not given any offer. Then in February following the visit, he would commit to Arizona State, where they thought they finally got their guy for the future of the program. He would sign a letter of intent and enroll in July of 23. However, at Arizona State, because of injuries, he would only be put in 3 games, get hurt, and would eventually get replaced by Sam Levitt, which, well, we all know how that went anyways. And then after getting beat out and full-on replaced, he would choose to leave Arizona State in April of 2024 and would land an offer at Georgia in the transfer portal, which is a very interesting spot to say the least, because, you know, given for how stacked Georgia's chart was with who they had currently, from Carson Beck to Gunnar Stockton to who they were bringing in next year, there really wasn't much of a chance he'd ever see the field unless he worked damn hard for it. But at the same time, when viewing this move for his troubles already, it's kind of like it's perfect. It's a fresh start and one where if he could succeed, his odds at the NFL are saved. It was essentially the perfect opportunity to develop your career further as far as social media wise, letting people just see your talents and development overall. So upon arrival, he'd once again see the bench sitting behind Carson Beck, later competing with Gunnar Stockton for QB2, where he would lose that battle and be put at quarterback 3 to close the 24 season. Turn to 2025, rather than stay and try to compete against Stockton again, come the offseason to see who will be the true quarterback 1 next year for Georgia since Beck just left, he quitted on yet another opportunity and put himself back in the portal January 2025, making this his 4th school he's officially pulled himself out of. So once again, we find ourselves back in the transfer portal. Which in between the portal talks, they sure were pretty interesting with Jaden, because you really never knew what his next move was going to be. Guy's already shown he can't stay put, and it's crazy to think. He was once a quarterback every program wanted to get their hands on. Now that he's available, it's like nobody wants him. From the NIL chaos and a whole lawsuit surrounding his name paired with the little experience he actually had, yeah, it was all for good reasoning nobody wanted him. He didn't care much for the team, he just cared for personal gain, and it'll be for those reasons he completely hit rock bottom of all lists when it came to considering quarterbacks for most programs. Because, you know, nothing says green flag like I love chasing money and not worrying about my development by just staying still. So with 3 games under his belt and being passed around like a blunt between 4 different programs, it was time to see who lucky number 5 would be. As the saying goes, 5th time is a charm, said by absolutely nobody but the Rashada family themselves, since they're basically the reason he's here anyways. So in April of 2025, Sacramento State would offer Rashada to come play at their program, with a few other small offers from UConn, Mississippi State, and North Carolina supposedly before they canceled their meeting, where he would choose the Hornets seeing they were going to start him immediately, which has been half of the reason he's left the other programs. Here he felt their offense could help highlight his abilities with a coach who had large plans the moment he'd arrive have on campus for him to potentially take the role, with their former starting quarterback hitting the portal as soon as news broke Rashada was coming to Sacramento State. So it seemed everything was aligning for him to take over as the face of their program, given he also had 3 years remaining on his eligibility. So this could only mean great things for his career, right? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Well, I mean, in a way, he'd get what he wanted, which was a starting job, just not for as long as he hoped. He started week 1 after winning the starting job and went 11 for 27 for 107 with 1 interception and a 20-3 loss, which itself screams absolute dog shit performance, before getting benched early in week 2 after starting 2-5 with 39 yards. Then in the next 2 games, he completed to get backseated, going 2 out of 3 pass attempts with 88 yards and 1 touchdown in garbage time, getting replaced by Cardale Williams, who's been the better of everybody in that quarterback room, throwing for 1,604 passing yards with a 10-6 touchdown interception ratio, while also having 328 rushing yards and 11 rushing touchdowns. So, safe to say, he ain't doing shit here, which is really sad when you look at his career overall, going from potentially playing in the SEC, ACC, to getting benched at an FCS program. What a fucking downfall. And the worst part is, genuinely, where does he go from here? Who wants to coach him? Who wants to develop him? I mean, if he can't hack it at the bottom where most talents usually start from here and move up, where in his case, he came from the top to the bottom. He went from the top to the bottom and still can't find success. His career's cooked. He's a joke, his dad's an even bigger one, and probably the only reason he's this fucked. I mean, just truly tragic. Someone could really ask, what program is he transferring to next? My guess, your nearest McDonald's or selling insurance as that one guy who played college ball. Probably his safest bet, but as his roller coaster of a journey has shown me so far, it's far from over. And some poor school is going to continue to give him another million reasons why to come warm their bench. If you ask me, I call it rats, and it's truly one hell of a downfall. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching another random recap. I always find this story to be fascinating. Same with him, same with like Malachi Nelson, athletes like these. I think it's a great lesson for a lot of the younger players coming up. And that's, do not be like these guys. Do not be like them. You know, guys who can't make up their damn mind transferring program after program because they're going where the money is, and not the future with the opportunities. If you want to succeed, you stay put, you work hard, and you grind your way to the top. Like, to me, I think the transfer portal was a giant mistake, or at least it's just a mistake of not putting a cap on how many times a player can do it. I think if I were him, I would have stayed put at Arizona State, try to play my way out, but, you know, that's just not the way it goes. And now, I can't even say he's going to find himself playing on another team. Truly a tragic story on just how one can go from the top with unlimited potential to the bottom with the potential of probably at best ever just being a college backup. I really hope he got every single cent out of the game because I cannot say I see him making any more. Anyways, that is all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next Random Recap.